to the program. This is the Bon Voyage Hot List. And if you're not familiar with what that means, it's a list that on paper looks kind of like this, just a couple of sides. And it's a list of our upcoming trips that we have that are hosted, generally speaking, and they don't have any additional fees. Like our professional fees don't apply on our Bon Voyage Hot List. And generally we have a special offer or something going on. And once a month, we invite one of our partners onto the program. And today that is Jade from OCEANIA Cruises. And we have 2 upcoming trips that are on our hot list. And we're going to talk about those trips a little bit. We'll talk about some of our own personal experiences on Oceania. And we will hear from Jade about what we can expect on Oceania, whether it's these 2 cruises in particular, or just if you'd like to contact MGA Travel and book an Oceania cruise for anywhere else you might want to go. And so I will be showing you a little bit later exactly how to go to the Bon Voyage, which is simply going to tripswithme.com, and then you can click through to any of the trips that you are interested in. Okay, so here's what you do. You just type in www.tripswithme, hit enter, and there you are. Boom, the Bon Voyage Hot List. You'll see all of our upcoming trips just like this. Okay, so I'd like to introduce everybody on the call. Hopefully you know my co-host Kelly, my wife, and Kristen Trevi, an agent here at MGA Travel, and Tom Mugno, also another agent. And Kristen and Tom, along with Tom's wife, will be hosting our Winter Heart 2024, which is coming up pretty quickly.
Wait 1 second, Michael. Hey,
yeah.
Tom, how many cruises have you been on?
How many cruises have I been on?
In your life?
Roughly 100.
So he has a little bit of experience.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. I got to really catch up to you, Tom. I'm very behind pace.
It took a lot of years.
I think, what are we at, Kelly? I know we have like 399 nights on cruises, but I think it's like 40, maybe.
Got a ways to go to catch up to Tom.
And Kristen, you can count kayaking. How many kayak cruises have you been on?
In that case, I got you guys.
She's got us all beat probably then.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think cruises, I think it's 3.
Okay, cool. Yeah. And your map behind
almost
you
4.
is yeah, almost 4. That's right. So your
Almost
map behind
5.
you is like, yeah. What do you mean almost 5?
Because I have the Virgin one too coming up.
Oh, forgot about that. We don't
Yeah.
talk about that.
Doesn't
Brandon.
count. Doesn't count.
Well, Jade, cover your.
This is clipped and edited, right?
Yeah, we'll edit the Virgin right out of here.
You're fine.
Okay, so I guess the first thing I want to talk about is we're going to talk about Peachy's cruise. And Peachy was here today, but she had a doctor's appointment, so she's not going to be on the call. But she's hosting an Oceania cruise in August of 2024. And Kristen, are you prepared to tell me a little bit more about that cruise?
Yeah. Yeah, so that one is a Mediterranean cruise that goes from Rome and stops in other places in Italy, and then it has a couple stops in France before ending in Monte Carlo. Ooh. And we are in the process. I'm working with the group members to put together pre and post options. It's going to probably include 2 pre-nights in Rome with some tours of like the Vatican and Colosseum, and then a night in Monte Carlo at the end.
Okay, very fabulous. Nice. Yeah, and if you haven't met Peachy, she works here at our front desk, and she's always welcoming, and she's a great person to travel with. I can tell you that personally. And she and her husband Jerry are going to be the host of that cruise coming up in less than a year. And Jade, can you tell us a little bit about what you do at Oceania?
Yeah, of course. So I have the privilege of getting to work with our wonderful travel partners, like everybody at MGA Travel. And I don't have as many cruises under my belt, but I do have a few Oceania cruises. So I definitely can share all about the experience, kind of what to expect on an Oceania cruise. And I guess I should have started with, I've been at Oceania almost 5 years now. So definitely have seen all the great things that we do, and then we continue to enhance and make even better, which is always exciting.
That's great. That's great. And Tom, you're the Winter Heart 2024. When is that going to be?
Winter Hot 24 is in February 18th to the 28th. We're cruising round trip from Miami on the Vista, which was just christened last May. And my wife and I just got off it. We did an 18-day trip on the Vista from London, around the British Isles, France, and wound up in New York. The ship is fabulous. The people are
Well,
good.
You must have a great boss. Let you
I
have
do.
time off.
It's research. He was doing research.
Yes.
Thanks for taking your time to do that research on cruise number 100.
That hard work.
Yeah, right. Right.
Never
It was
done.
very difficult. There's so much to eat that it is very difficult.
It's true. I mean, I think you've changed the wording a little bit. We call the finest cuisine at sea. Is that what it's called now, Jade?
Yes, so that I think we still have that. I know it's trademarked still for us. And then we've kind of changed up the verbiage to, keep things interesting when we do some presentations to the exquisitely crafted cuisine. But no matter what it is, I mean, it's absolutely incredible. We spend more than anybody else on our culinary experience. I just learned a fun fact while I was on Vista this last weekend is for every 10 guests, we have one chef. So you really are getting the most incredible culinary experience you could have, even if it's at which I call multiple food stations, but some people may call a buffet, is full service and some of the best meals that you can have. You can still get your filet and lobster up there even, which is a nice option to have.
I will have to go ahead and second Tom and Jade, 100% backing. We were on a 30-day trip around Australia, and I was served Michael was served a truffled flan, and I had a bite of it, and I so regret not ordering it because they didn't serve it again in the next 30 days, so I didn't get to have it again, but Mike was generous enough to share it with me. But the food is absolutely outstanding.
That's a lot coming from Kelly. She is our resident culinary queen. And I concur. That was on the Insignia around Australia and on that cruise. And it was a world cruise segment. And I wish I had been on the world cruise because like any cruise, it's fun. You get to see all the ports of call. These are relatively small ships. They're more intimate. The service is outstanding. But when on top of all of that, the food is a joy instead of something in the way, what a difference that makes for a great cruise.
It's when you sit down for dinner, it's a dining destination unto itself.
And they continue to we just got to hear from our chefs, and so they continue to add new things. One of our master chefs, he was just saying he has come up with recently 300 new recipes for us to kind of test out and see what works, what's of interest. So there's always something new, especially on the culinary front. So you're never bored when it comes to the dining options, that's for sure. Even though every time I'm on board, I have my few go-to items that I just absolutely have to have.
Because they're that good.
Yeah, exactly.
So Kristen, sorry, Tom, go ahead.
Speaking of experimenting with meals, when we were on that 18-day cruise, Marge took a cooking class and she loved it. She thought it was fantastic. They made lobster salad, steak, and blueberry cobbler thing that they did. And she thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah, our culinary center is absolutely stunning, especially on Vista. It's almost twice the size as it is on Riviera and Marina, and those are amazing. And it is individual cooking stations, 24 guests in these spaces, and you get a hands-on cooking class with one of our incredible chefs. So, whether it is making a lobster salad, we have so many different menus that we do. We've started to introduce, some plant-based options in the culinary center for those that eat plant-based. We have a knife skills class. We have, even better, we we have our culinary discovery tours, which kind of pair the best of both worlds, where you get to go out in certain destinations, go to the local market with our chef, come back with the ingredients, and get to enjoy them in the culinary center. So, one of the examples that I haven't tried, but I know others have, is, making paella when you're in Spain, going out to the market, getting the fresh ingredients, coming back to the ship, and preparing with what was just bought out at the market. So really, not only are we the foodie cruise line and we have all this wonderful food to try throughout the ship, but then you get to have a hands-on class if that is something that you are passionate about or interested in. And even for people like me who are not the best cooks and it is not our area of expertise, they make it very easy. You're very step by step, and the chefs are walking around helping kind of guide you through the process. So you have fun and you learn a lot, and it really is definitely worth doing on board.
Kristen, on the Winter Heart 24, which is coming up this February, can you tell us, number one, do you have rooms still available? And if you do, what type of perks people can expect to book into it? What kind of choices do they have, that sort of thing?
We do still have space on that one. I'm not sure exactly the categories, but I know we still have space. And that one would have your O-Life choices, the old style, so people can choose between the house select beverage package, the shore excursion, 3 per person, although there's some fine print attached to that, or just shipboard credit.
What about your flight from Myrtle Beach, which is normally an additional gateway fee?
So that's going to be free for economy flights out of Myrtle Beach.
Did you say free?
I did.
Free.
That's pretty cool. The
Big
flight.
gold.
No, normally our Winter Heart, we do a Winter Heart every year, late January, February, and generally we have a motor coach, luxury motor coach that takes us about halfway. We include a hotel room, and then we take you to the ship in Florida, wherever it might be, and then we bring you back home to South Carolina. But we don't need to do that with Oceania because their air is free. And normally when you have the little gateways like Charleston or Myrtle Beach, there is an extra gateway fee. I think it's like $200, something like $199,
Yeah.
and that's completely waived for us. And I think we have a little bit of onboard credit as well.
Yes, we do.
So it's right at the top because our trips with me, the Bon Voyage Hot List, is in chronological order, and that is leaving in February.
One thing I will say about Vista is it is a fully veranda ship. So no matter what category, you at least have some form of a veranda or another. And my favorite part is the bathrooms on that ship are gigantic. So for those of you, cruise bathrooms, you will have so much space, you don't have to worry about it. But for this itinerary, I was taking a look. It's actually one that stops in a lot of places I haven't been. So maybe I need to consider it, add it to my list of things to do next year. But one thing I would encourage everybody, shore excursions obviously do fill up pretty quick. So if that is something that you're still pondering, definitely take a look. Don't wait, because the really exciting ones do tend to fill up first. But what I love most is that we have such a wide range of excursions. If you want to do yoga on a beach, that's an option that you can do. Or if you want to eat and drink your way through one of the ports of call, that's absolutely an option as well. Or if it's your first time and you just kind of want to see the highlights, we have a little bit of everything for everyone, whether it's their first time there or it's their 100th time there, they still get to enjoy in one way or another.
So if you were to join us on that sailing in February, I understand that you might have an additional travel companion coming up.
I might, if I allow him out. Can only take him so many times, so he is excited to I caved, and he's gonna get his Oceania cruise for our honeymoon next year. So
Ooh, wow.
I know.
Well, congratulations on your
Thank you.
upcoming wedding.
Thank you. I know it's right around the corner.
Really?
It really is. Okay.
I heard mention of a beverage package. Tom, what do you have to say about the Founders Bar on the Vista?
Oh, yeah, that's have some pretty exotic drinks there. And luckily, the bartender is going to be on the February cruise that was just on my last one, so we know one another pretty well.
That's
Me,
we-
one of
I made great friends this I was just on board for 2 days and I made some great friends at the Founders Bar.
Yeah,
My go-to drink, and I definitely recommend, is the Benevolent Dictator.
Michael too. Michael too.
that's,
It is, I'm not a bourbon drinker by any means. It was my go-to drink the whole time. It is absolutely incredible. So it is a Pinot Noir ice ball. And then they also pour some more Pinot in as well as bourbon. And it is smoked in this nice little glass. And just the presentation of every drink at the Founders Bar is amazing. But the Benevolent Dictator is definitely worth a try.
So if
Money.
they're putting this much attention to detail into cocktails, and when she says a Pinot Noir ice ball, they're all each individually made every night, and it is a spectacular presentation. And just like you, Jade, I'm not a big whiskey drinker or bourbon drinker, but it's delicious.
And you would not think it's a good combination,
Oh.
but we are expert mixologists. They have taken the time to really make sure that everything is well thought out and planned. And I will say one thing, especially for Vista, is they also have different mocktails that you can try out as well. So even if you're not a big drinker or you just don't want to drink that day, there's still fun options that you can try out.
And you know, I should say Kelly and I were fortunate enough to be on the inaugural of the Vista, which was a 1-week cruise from Italy. And I have a
Jade
video.
DeLaurentis was on the ship.
She was the godmother of that ship. And who else was the other cooking person on there?
Oh, Sarah Moulton.
Yeah, Sarah Moulton. That was pretty cool. Peachy's in August, which goes to Rome, Sorrento, Catania, Valletta, Tunisia, Palermo, Olbia, Porto, Florence, Pisa, Tuscany, Corsica, which is where Napoleon lived at the end of his life, that we visited on that trip, Saint Tropez, and Monte Carlo. Both of those get the O Life of the House Select drink package. I do recommend you get that. If you're like me, you may not drink that much. That's not like me, but you may not drink that much, but you still will take advantage. It's a good value because everything else is already included, like your, specialty coffees, bottled water, anything like that is already included. And it's just nice when you want a glass of wine to just have it poured. You don't have to order it and then, you sign for a check or anything like that. And it's a pretty good value. I think that program is is it $39.99 a day per person if you bought it, and that comes as a free perk. And what I like to do and will tell people is once you get on board, you can pay to upgrade to the premier package, which is normally $59 per day, and it's just an open bar at all times, and which is, even like I said, if you don't drink all the time, it's still just very convenient.
Great value.
And a good value. And you only have to pay the difference, because if you take the House Select for free and the other one was $59, you just pay the $20 per person per day, and there you have
I will say it did go up. Went up $10.
Oh,
$30
okay.
per person per day.
$30 per person per day. Still going to work for me. Still going to work.
Absolutely. I mean, a couple glasses of good wine, or you want a cocktail, and there you go. There's your $30. It goes by pretty quick. One thing I did also want to mention, for both groups, you guys also have gratuities included. So you don't even have to worry about that on top of everything else. So it really is wonderful to do one of these hot list cruises, especially with Oceania, because we try and make it as easy so you don't have to leave feeling like you paid for a vacation and there's still more that you had to pay to enjoy.
Exactly right.
And can we back up again to Jade and Tom? Both of you said that you made friends with the bartenders, and I think we haven't said anything yet. We definitely should say something about the service on board.
Absolutely. I mean, it is, I always joke like they're almost too good at their jobs, right? It's like, oh, my glass is never empty. They know I want to drink Prosecco, except at the Founders Bar. That's a whole different occasion. And our crew just takes great care of everyone, whether it is at a bar or even at baristas. I tell the story of my first Oceania cruise. The first day, I got a frozen coffee, which is definitely something to try in baristas. It's very sweet, but it's very good. And I went back the second time later in the afternoon, got the same thing. And the next day it was the same barista. And before I even had a chance to order, my frozen coffee was ready for me because he knew that's what I was going to order anyways. And so it's those little nice details and them greeting you by name, and you just make great relationships with the crew as well. They want to talk, they want to connect. They're not just, on to the next task. They want to hear from guests. Even before I had planned, we were in between honeymoons. Our waiter one night heard me talking about Bali possibly. And he came back with a note written down of places, because he's from Bali, of places that I should see if I am going. And I don't know any restaurant anywhere that somebody's going to just overhear your conversation and provide you with recommendations, because that's just the level of service and care they want. They want to be connected. So there's so many things that I could say about our crew, but I'll let Tom share some of his experience too.
Yes, no, because we had 8 of us on the Vista. So there's only a couple of tables in the grand dining room that you can sit at. So we had the same waiter almost whenever we ate there, besides the specialties. And like you said, you sat down and you had a drink in front of you, whatever it was, they knew. And at the end of the meal, they knew who had coffee and who didn't have dessert. I very rarely eat dessert because I'd rather have another drink, but that's me. That's where I save my calories, no desserts.
But you have to try the souffle of the day. It is the best dessert. It's worth it.
If you divide it by 8, each person has 1 spoonful.
There you
Oh,
go.
you can't do
There
it
you
that
go.
way. It's funny. Our European friends just look at us like sideways when you say no to dessert at dinner. It's just not something that they even can comprehend, not having a great dessert. And you do. I mean, great food. It's great service. It was that way on the Insignia. It was that way on the Vista. The Vista's beautiful.
Absolutely.
And you just won't have finer service food. All of it together makes for a great experience. And remember, both of these, we're going with a group. So you're going with ready, set, made friends that you'll either get to know if you don't already know, or you probably know some of them on there. So that means there's always somebody to have a cocktail with. There's always somebody to talk to. If you want to participate, you don't have to. You can go do your own thing. That's perfectly fine. But it still includes, doesn't Peachy's, Kristen, does Peachy's have an air special as well? Because that's to Europe.
Yeah, it does. It also has the free air out of some select smaller gateways.
Including Myrtle Beach, right? Yeah.
Mhm.
So that's a pretty big deal right now. People ask about air all the time on all types of trips, but when it's to Europe or further away, that's a concern. Like, well, how much is it going to be? And and with this program from Oceania, you don't even have to know. I mean, it's free. That's the price. It's free, and that's a big add-on value to these cruises when you look at the prices. So again, the prices, all the details, all of these things are on the Bon Voyage Hot List. You can go check them out. There's a place to click inside of each one that says you want to book and you're ready to go and you want to sign up. Or you can call 843-279-0310. Ask for Kristen or Tom. They are our Oceania group specialists, and they will be the ones hosting and handling these trips. And if you have an Oceania itinerary you want to go on that's not these two, we're glad to help you with that as well.
Yeah, we have a lot of great options. Obviously, these two are great values, a lot included, and then you get these wonderful hosts. Who doesn't want that? But if you're planning even further ahead, right, we have our new itineraries out for 2025. A lot of new destinations for us are included there. So even if you are, not looking at 24 and you're already planning 25, there are options for you with Oceania as well. So definitely call your experts and you will be in great hands.
And when you were just telling us that, like, say I want to do this exact itinerary again in 2025, what about that?
So that is our blessing and our curse, as I say, because we don't rinse and repeat our itineraries. That is one thing that we have always been really focused on at Oceania, is not only being port intensive with more time in port and overnight stays, but also making sure that we're delivering unique itineraries to our guests. So while we include some of those highlight ports like Rome and Monte Carlo, we will oftentimes, 9 times out of 10, make the middle part different. So you're getting new destinations that you haven't been to. Even for somebody like Tom, who's been on 100 cruises, we will always find somewhere new to take you. And even, what amazed me when we opened our 2024 itineraries, this was last year, we had gotten a list of new ports of call. And every year, right, we have new maiden ports of call that we visit. But what stood out to me last year was the Caribbean itineraries. I was like, how can we find somewhere new in the Caribbean to even go to? I feel like we go to all the places. What else could be out there? And sure enough, we found another port of call, a new maiden port of call in the Caribbean for us. So it is always great. And speaking to, the hot list sailings, if it's of any interest to you, now is the best time to do it, because chances are it is not going to be an itinerary, the exact itinerary that we have in the future.
Well, and I really like that about Oceania. I like the fact that there's always something new and it's not the same thing over and over again. And how many passengers does this ship hold?
So it is, our smallest ships are just over 600. So Insignia, which you guys have been on, is just over 600. The 2 hot list sailings, so Riviera and Vista, are just at 1,200. Vista is 1,200 specifically, and Riviera is just a little bit over that number. And with kind of the larger still being small ships, they come with more dining venues. They have the culinary center that I mentioned. We also have our artist loft, which if you are a fan of art in any form, all of our ships will be perfect for you, because we have these incredible art collections, multi-million-dollar art collections on all of our ships. But instead of having, kind of the art auction, we actually have our artist loft. So on Marina, Riviera, and Vista, and soon to be Allura, we have the artist loft, where you actually get to learn hands-on different forms of art, whether it's watercolor or oil painting or photography or sculpting. It is the hands-on classes, and these are free. So that's the other huge benefit, is these are included. So you don't, if you are passionate or you're just interested in learning a new art, those are very popular. So definitely, it's not something you could pre-reserve. That's a question I often get, but it is, when you see it on currents in your stateroom, definitely head there quick if you want to participate.
And one thing I saw on the Vista that surprised me was that the internet area was quite large. Most of the ships now hide it in a little corner someplace, and you can't ever find anybody in there. But this, I was surprised at how large that area was.
Yeah, so we, on Vista and on Allura, we have our Link Digital Center. So not only is it, where you can go for help with your internet questions or anything like that, but you also, again, we have classes throughout, whether it is, learning how to take the best pictures with your phone, or it's, learning a new skill. We also have that, and it's great for groups as well. One thing, mentioning internet, it just popped into my head, is we have partnered with Starlink. So we do have Vista, and then Riviera will actually be getting it early next year. So both ships for these sailings will have Starlink, and it's 2 logins per stateroom. So that old problem of only having one device that you can be logged into is gone. And now both guests in a stateroom will be able to be logged in. And the internet works wonderful. I just was trying it out, 2 days ago, and I had no problems staying connected with 2 devices. It was very easy, and very quick. That was the nice part.
And it's included.
And it's included, even better. Exactly.
It really is.
And
And sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, we have like an upgraded package for our internet that you can purchase. I've never needed it. I've never felt like, oh, this internet's too slow, which is not the same, right, for every experience out there. And for what you need to do the basic activities, you can stay connected if you would like. That's the other thing, right? If you want to stay connected, you can.
Well, some of us have to, unfortunately, but
Well, we want to, Michael. We want to.
Yeah, want to.
And talking about the number of passengers on the ship, we had an interesting one. We stopped in a port in Western Ireland, and the population of the city was 1,200. We were 1,170, so we doubled the population the day we were.
Wow.
But that's so much
wonderful.
better. You can be on some of these giant mega ships and you pull into port with 5,000 or 6,000 people, and
Right.
then they're overwhelmed. I mean, the city's not smaller than that. It's a city itself. 1,200 people is a nice size,
Mhm.
a nice size ship. It's a good community.
Absolutely. Well, I think that speaks to 2 things, right, Tom? We're taking you to small, unique places. It's not these big cities where everybody's going to be bombarded, and you get those small city unique experiences, those little towns that really connect you to the destination. And one of the other things I love about the size of our ships is it's so easy to get on and off the ship. You're not waiting in line for, even when you're on the ship, you're not waiting in line for things. 1,200 is a nice size, and the size of the ships, you don't really notice that
No.
you don't run into the same people unless you want to. You have plenty of spaces to either hide away and kind of relax and enjoy, or be a part of, the ship energy if that's what you want.
And not only that, the size of it is perfect for, you rarely have to tender. Like the bigger ships, they're too big to go to these smaller ports, or if they can even get close enough to tender. But normally, most of the time, Oceania is able to dock, right there, and you don't have to tender, meaning you don't have to wait for a little lifeboat to take you back and forth. How did Marge like the casino on board? The size of it, and I know she didn't win this time, but
Personal experience out there.
yeah, I think there's less machines and less area than on the 2 sister ships on the new one. But basically it's the same. They just like to take your money.
well,
Any good casino.
Mhm.
like any good casino. No,
Right.
so on the Insignia, which is a smaller class, they have a tiny casino, like 6 machines and 1 blackjack table. And I remember that they had like at least 25 machines and a couple different tables, and I think they had roulette. So
Yeah, they had roulette and craps and 4 blackjack tables. Yeah.
I only went into the casino to take a picture of Trevor while they were closed, because otherwise you're not supposed to take pictures in casinos, I don't think.
Yeah, that's a no-no, I think. That's not operating, then it's fine. But it is, I mean, the casino space, even that, I was stunned on Vista specifically. This is a beautiful casino, and not most times you can't really be amazed. Even the art that was in there, I was like, wow, it's all those little details when it comes to the ship design. Whether it's Vista or Riviera or any of the ships, they really have put a lot of time and energy into making the ships unique, each in their own right, but very inviting and residential, which is the best part of being on our ships, is not feeling like you are on a ship.
Which is the newest ship before the Allure comes out pretty soon. But she's just gorgeous. Every space is beautiful, and you don't feel like you're on a ship. You feel like you're in some, high-end resort somewhere, or residence. Like you said, it's just gorgeous.
Absolutely.
Well,
I
does
don't think-
anybody go ahead, Tom?
Yeah, I don't think we talked about the entertainment.
I was just gonna bring that up. Glad you
Yeah,
did.
we haven't.
They had some pretty good entertainment on there too. The string quartet was very
Oh,
good
amazing.
every evening, and later on, and they all did a very good job. The all of the small bands that they had, and the comedian was fantastic. I heard, I didn't make that show, but I heard he was very good.
Oh, that's good. I mean, I feel like comedians, right? That can always be a hit or a miss.
Yes.
Different things funny. And so I will say we've invested more, well, especially being part of NCLH, we have, different access to different forms of entertainment and been able to really kind of enhance that. And it's oftentimes one of the questions I get, being on a small ship, am I going to be bored? I know you're really port intensive, but what if I don't want to get off the ship, or what's there to do at night? And we have the production shows, we have the comedians, we have wonderful string quartet on all of our ships. And then there's, in martinis, there's the piano, and you have somebody there, you have trivia on board, which is,
Oh my God, that's a
Competitive.
serious business.
it is
That is
not to be
serious.
messed with.
We were on the
Okay.
Insignia, and Ray was our cruise director, and we actually somehow Outlanders won. We had 2 tables, but we were playing against Compass Rose and some teams that were on the world cruise, so they had been together for months, literally. And boy, Ray had to say several times, "Look, all you're gonna win is a stupid T-shirt." And I get final say in what the correct answer is, no matter what you think. And it was hilarious and so much fun. Like, we were there, Kelly and I were there every day. It was like 4 or 5 o'clock, right on the dot. And it's a serious competition, but a lot of fun. And
It
shows
is.
you how great the cruise directors and how interactive and and how hospitable and accessible and fun they are to be around.
And Ray is actually, I just was with him on Vista. So he's the cruise director right now on Vista. I don't know how much longer he's on Vista, so I don't know if he'll be there in February.
Yeah, it's hard. You never know exactly.
I
but
know, especially when they're good ones, you got to move them around and share their skills. But even during the day, there's activities, ways to learn about the destination as well. So we've really focused in on our enrichment speakers. So those that are experts either in history or art or just the destination. And it's, being able to opt into that, I think, is really nice. If you're not as familiar with an area, or that's something you're very interested about, we're able to bring even more to the destination and it's not just when you're out, ashore exploring. You can also get that while you're on board as well.
Always
We
get to learn a little bit more about where you're going. And one other point that we haven't addressed yet is they have a beautiful spa and fitness center on board.
We do, and all fitness classes are included. So if you like to stay active, burn off all the food that you eat on board an Oceania cruise, we have a beautiful, beautiful fitness center on all of our ships, and then fitness classes as well, which is, it can be yoga, it can be walking. There's a lot. I've taken a spin class on board, and that was actually probably one of the hardest spin classes I've ever taken. And there were those that were pretty serious about it, and that was my motivation. I was like, if they can do it, I can do it. I can do it too. But what a beautiful venue, right? Like, look out at the ocean and stay motivated while you're doing spin. But then the spa, of course, I mean, is absolutely stunning. And one of the enhancements that we've made is to not only, have the typical spa services that are always offered, but then to also include throughout, different forms of, whether it's massage or a different type of service that is kind of regionally relevant. And then, they have all the other spa things. You can actually get Botox on board in case, you're running out. Like myself, I could probably use some these days, but there is endless opportunities while you're on board and while you're off the ship as well.
And no matter, the fact that there's wonderful food and beautiful places to be in spaces, it's not stuffy or formal. You do not need, you don't need a tuxedo or an evening gown or anything like that. At night at dinner, I think the most you need is like men need long pants and a collared shirt,
collar.
which this one qualifies. It's a golf shirt.
But in contrast to that, if you do want to dress up, if you do feel like, putting on the nines, you're not at a place in that regard also.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, you don't, it's country club casual, which I think is, well, it's what we say. And it really is, that version of luxury, right? For everybody, luxury looks a little bit different. For us, we want to have it still be very nice and luxurious on board, but we want you to be comfortable. And I think everybody has their own level of that. Some people, it may be every night they want to wear their full suit and tie, and you can do that, but you definitely are not required. And it's that nice flexibility of just comfortable luxury that I think a lot of guests enjoy.
And Kristen, I know you're the one on the program that hasn't yet been on Oceania. Can you say what you're looking forward to experiencing the most, or what you imagine?
Probably the food. Because I might be skinny, but I do love to eat. And I've been hearing so much about the food. So I'm excited for that, I think.
I can give you a laundry list of things that you have to try. They're must-haves while on board.
So you are planning on going by yourself, and they have single cabins on board, which is a new thing for the Vista. And it's a great option for solo travelers that don't want to necessarily room with somebody they don't know that well. Although our groups, we do help people find roommates when they want or would like, but there's a limited number of single cabins aboard the Vista.
We have now are A1s. I think that's about
A1s.
what we have now.
Is that what you put on your steak
Well,
when you're on board on
yes.
Oceania? Just ask for A1.
Just
That's a good way
ask
to get
and see
thrown
what
overboard.
happens.
Right.
Their
Let's go
eyes
off the
pop
plane.
out.
You were talking about the speakers. One of the speakers that we had on that trip was talking about the early days and the history of space exploration. And since I had a lot to do with putting a man on the moon back before you all were born in the 60s, it was very interesting talking to him. I spent a lot of time, especially in one of the ports. We were on the same excursion together, and we just wandered around together talking about life in the 60s.
That's cool.
So cool.
I
That's
will
cool. He
say
helped put somebody on the moon, Tom. That's very cool.
I know. I've learned something new every day. Wow.
Yeah.
We need a whole one of these just to talk about life in the 60s and putting somebody on the moon, Tom.
Yeah.
I should have mentioned, we do have, for anybody that's a late nighter, we do have our band, but it's very rare that that's a late night.
But you
Yes.
never know with the groups. I mean, sometimes you get a group of people and they'll stay out a little bit later than they would if they didn't have their friends with them. So
Yeah, that's very true. So there is that option. There's horizons for late night dancing in case anybody wants that.
Schedule every day, and I was like,
I want to thank everybody for being on the program today. Thank you, Tom, Kristen, Kelly, and Jade for joining us. And of course, all of our viewers watching this on YouTube or wherever you're watching. It was fun talking with you guys, and I know it'll be fun going on our next Oceania cruise. Please join us, and you have a lot of value included that we've talked about, and you'll have a cruise of your life. You will not be disappointed. I promise you that. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Thank you.